Yes, Everett, there's Watercolors. I'm in my studio this morning. It's early, but I'm going to start a small little painting here, little watercolor sketch. And the subject is a clover leaf or a shamrock for St. Patrick's Day. So this is my reference here. A little simple, pick a simple subject, but also I can make it into an interesting painting with also a simple background. So that's the idea of today. Is just something simple and easy, but let's see how it goes. I'm gonna start here with my Strathmore field sketchbook, which has got a 140-pound watercolor paper, and I'll take my mechanical pencil and draw in the outline. Now the leaves of a clover or a shamrock is really it's a heart size. So there's a heart size here, and there's a vein that goes down the center. And then there's another one over here. And I'm going to do a 3-leaf clover this morning. Heart size here. So to build a shamrock or a clover leaf, you design what I would call the shape of a heart. In this case, I make 3 of them. This one over here, the pencil line just gives me a guide. Gives me a guide where I want to put the brush, and then there's a little background. Now, this is the main subject here. Okay, that's will be the main shape. But then there's another faint one back here that I want to capture to give it some interest, give a little interest in the background. And this has got the same sort of pattern, heart shape, but it'll be faded out or not as important as this main one here. And then there's some little marks here that I'm just going to draw in. These again, their background is some stems, maybe some stems here. So the pencil lines just give me a little ideas where to go, and maybe a hint of a stem coming down here and a stem over here. So that's my design work now, but I did it very lightly. But I kind of followed made a drawing of basically here the main characters here, then this background colors and shapes here, and then an interesting variable background. Okay, so in my tools this morning, I got the number 16 round Holbein round brush, and I've got the 3/4 inch Holbein flat brush, and the number 6 round Holbein round brush. Okay, so I'm going to start out with using a round brush because I'm going to be using circular motions here. The shape here is circular, so I'll use that, and I'm going to mix up some, and I wet my paint, so I use my spray bottle, and I'll need a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow, and a touch of brown. That's going to be the main, and maybe a little bit of blue. I wet the palette with my paints before I get started, and mix up the green color. And just get that first wash in. It's just this is the background color. Go in there, and I'm using a round brush because I'm using circular motions here, or circular shapes. So I use the round brush. This number 16 round comes to a nice point also, so it gives me lots of control. And it's also, I use it all like a flat brush. When I lay it down flat, it'll cover a large area just like a flat brush. So it's a very multi-purpose brush. and it carries a lot of paint. But it's a lot of fun to paint with. This Holbein number 16 round. Never had a brush this big before, but I got this probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been using it in some of my paintings, but I've been starting to use it more because it's got such a versatile application. I can do fine detail with it, but here I'm just getting down the color. So this is fun. Now see, that's a heart shape. That's the heart shape of the main character. And what I like to do though is take other colors. Let's say take a little bit of this yellow and kind of put that in there. While it's still wet, I can float the color in there while it's still wet, so it'll blend. So when you're painting, you can also, add a little bit of change to the color. You don't want them all the same. A little variety in the color. So here, I'm taking more time on this. This is the main character, so taking more time on this particular one here. And I can leave a little bit of white paper showing. I mean, that's another interesting thing about watercolors is that you don't have to paint in the whole object. You can leave some little white areas, again, to give a little maybe a little texture. You can always fill it in later, but now you can leave some white paper showing, and then maybe change your mind and put in some more color here. I picked up another color. That was I'm using green number 1 as my base color, but then I can go ahead and put green number 2, which is a little bit darker and a little bit greener. So I'm really giving this cloverleaf, this Shamrock, a little variety in color. And see, while it's still wet, I can still put paint in there, let it run. That's the interesting part about watercolor is then this third petal. And once I get this one down here, then I can go a lot faster on the rest of the paint. But this is the most important part of the. And I'm working on the design here, making sure those shapes are believable. The reference photograph is just to give me an idea of what I wanted to paint, and then once I get painting, I forget about the photograph, and I got my sketch down here, so I just go ahead and put the paint. And I'm just having fun painting subject, and I don't worry about the subject anymore as far as the photograph. The photograph is just a reference. The painting is really the application of the colors, and then you can play with those colors while it's still wet. You can add a little texture, a little bit of a little more pigment to it, let it run, give a little variety. Pick up a little bit of yellow, maybe get a little yellow going in there. So that yellow and green is the two main. Lemon yellow here and the green number 1 was my two main colors. And I can kind of shape up. Okay, all right. So that's my main subjects there. And back here, just faintly, just a hint. Just a hint of another petal back here. And I don't want this to be too well defined, so I'm just going to just get a general shape going. This is just going to be a very vague. Just a general shape back here. And this little section down here. Yeah, give a little variety, a little bit of changes, and there's something here in the background. What I'll do is also add in some little bit of color on top of that to give a little, because I'm going to put a background around that. Maybe put a stem in here. Get the start of a stem. I'm kind of working on my design here, and maybe a real faint one down here. Okay, well that's I'm gonna let that dry, but that's the beginning of my design. I've got the main character here with some support characters, and I've got an interesting change of space behind. As a look at the negative space behind the main objects. You can see there's a little more room up here, so that background then will come in and come around it. But I'm treating the negative space. This is a positive space with the colors down, but also the negative space around in order to make the painting. Okay. So we'll let that dry and I'll come back and add some more. Okay, it's dry now. Let's go ahead and work on the background. I'll leave this alone now. What I'm going to do is change brushes. From the round brush, I'm going to move into this large flat. This is a 3/4 inch Holbein flat brush. And I'm going to mix up a background color. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of dark blue, a little bit of quinacridone violet. I think I'll put maybe a little bit of burnt sienna. So what I'm going to do is build a nice light wash here. And I get started up here in the corner. And I'll be adding colors as I go along, but what I'm going to do is now over here, add a little bit of red. That's a little pyro red, a little red in there. I'm going to go right over top of it because I just want this section over here just to kind of come in. I'm not going to have any detail over here. So I'm just going to put that in. Vary the background. Add a little bit of green into that mix down here. But I'm painting right over top of these just to throw them in the background. I want them just to be a hint back there. I'm not going to have any detail there in that part of the background. But you can still see the colors and the shapes back there. So I'm really going to concentrate on this. Add a little more blue to it down here. Mixing that color up again. I'm covering up those other marks. The only thing I'm not going to cover up is the main subject here. Now I'm going to take the brush and make a flat edge. You can see how sharp that is just by laying it flat, loading it from both sides, and then going in and just using the corner of the brush, and I'm going right around that corner. This flat brush does such a great job. I mean, you know, this corner of the brush is almost like using a round brush. Just get the precise edge. Add a little brown in there. A little brown, a little bit of reddish color in with that, mixed in with that green, makes the other colors shine up. Okay, come around the edge, pick up a little more color. Yeah, come around, just use the corner of that brush, and it just follows that line. Load the brush again. I'm loading the brush so I have plenty of paint here to go, and then kind of mix up that background a little bit. And go up here and get this part up here. Now what I'll do is I think I'll put a little bit of yellow in here, just to give a little, maybe a source of light up here in this area. Make it a little lighter. Give it a source of light, not all dull or dark, but give it a little lighter value up here in this right top corner. And then I'll come down here and a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red along here. Again, that's a contrasting color to green. So next to the green, it makes that green look even stronger. Just putting a little bit of red in there, just a little touch of red to let that green really pop out. A hint of red, just a hint of red around that green, just to Not all the way around, but just a part of it, just where the green is really nice and green. Again, put some more of that yellow up here in that right top corner, give it a source of light. And then finish off the edge here, come around the corner. And again, I'm shaping the brush, get a nice sharp edge. Get nice, I like to flatten the brush out over here, just lay it flat, and that gives me a nice sharp edge corner. Then I can use the corner of the brush, the edge of the brush, go around the edges of this main character here, main part of the painting, which is the shamrock or the clover leaf. The St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so this will be, I guess, the shamrock. Now I'll go around, I'm going to put some brush strokes in here so it gives it a variety. The paint is still wet, so I can do a little bit of editing here. I'm going to add a little bit darker mix in there, a little bit of purple, quinacridone violet, a little bit of blue, and I want to get the background, especially around the shamrock here. I want to get a nice darker background here. And you see here I'm using the corner of the brush again. I'm using the round part, using the flat part of the brush. But what I want to do is get a darker value around the object here. Not all the way, just partially, so it'll give it more interest. And I'm going to leave a little white edge here. I think, leave a little white paper showing. There's nothing wrong with that. And I can leave a little bit of this shape back here. So I think this will bring out the shape of this shamrock a little more if I put a nice dark mix here. So as I walked away, I decided I would, and this shape back here is undefined, but it does give you an idea that there's something back there. Give it a hint of a shape. And a little shape down here. So I'm using a little darker mixer to give a little indications. And I'll come down here. I'll get a little. So about what I'm thinking about is about 2/3 of the background around this. So I got half of it here. So add a little bit more here. About 2/3 darker behind over here. Now I'm using that now. Really, I'm going to go in here and just really clean up this edge a little bit. So I've made a real sharp edge on my flat brush. I'll go in there and really come in there close to that. This is what this flat brush really does a beautiful job on. Gives me a nice sharp edge, almost like drawing with a pencil. It's just the edge, just like using a round brush. Come around there, and I'll take out some of this white up here just a little bit. I'll leave a little bit, but I'll take some of it out. I don't want too much. Just a hint of the edge. Sharpen up the edges a little bit. darken this up right here. Bring this in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. Okay, it's completely dry. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put some final touches on it. Just a few more little details. I'll clean out my palette. And I'm gonna clean out my palette some more, get some water in there, clean out my palette some more. Okay. Gonna mix up a little more of that. We'll get that Shamrock a little more defined, so I'm gonna bring out some more green color and do just the final touches on that. So I'm mixing some of that green number 1 and green number 2. Get a nice color there, and then maybe a little bit of yellow, just a little bit of yellow to play around with that one background. And I'm going to take my my 1/2 inch flat Holbein brush, and I'll go in here and just load it with the. Notice I load both sides of the brushes. I'm going to just put that green. I'm going to punch that green up just a little bit more to make it look a little more vibrant. Just add a little more color. So I'm just painting over top of what I have, just boosting the color with another layer. Just over top of the original layer. That makes that pop out a little bit better. And then I'm going to take this yellow and green, and go back here and just kind of put in a little faint shape here in the background. It could be another clover back here, and maybe one down here, just to give a little more interest. And then I'll do, I think I'll add those, I had some stems that are going through here before, and they got wiped out with the background, so I'll put them back in. Give a little, these are what I call action lines. They give a little more direction, a little more. Not definition, but just a little more action. There's a little more action in the painting. Put some of this, maybe get some stems back in here. And I'll take my number six round and add a little bit of, just a touch of blue. You notice here in these little center parts here of the leaf. I'll define those a little bit just to give me a final touch. I'll take a little bit of cobalt blue mixed in with that green, and I'll roll my brush, load it from the side, and then go in and just make a little definition here in this vein or middle section. This will give a little more definition to that leaf. And over here, a little groove. Okay. Maybe I'll put a little of that green back in here. Enhancing some of these colors here, that a little more green in there, because green is the real object here. Okay, well, there's a practice painting, just playing with this little reference photograph here, and then come up with a little sketch, and then add some color to watercolor. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the bell so you'll be notified of my next video. So we'll see you in our next video.